request all of you to raise as the chief guests are arriving. I request all of you to raise as the chief guests are arriving. I request all the dignitaries to occupy the dais. I request all the dignitaries to occupy the dais. A very good morning to one and all present here. It gives me immense pleasure to welcome you all to the Two-Day National Level Conclave on Indian Knowledge System organized by Bangalore Technological Institute on the theme From Legacy to Innovation, Tradition Meets Future through IKS. Indian knowledge system reflects the timeless wisdom of our nation and inspires us to preserve our rich heritage while embracing innovation. It is our privilege to have with us our respected President in his absence, Principal, distinguished guests, faculty members, researchers, students, and all the invitees. We extend a warm and heartfelt welcome to everyone. To begin this auspicious occasion, let us seek the blessings of the Almighty. I request Mrs. Suma B.N., Assistant Professor, ECE, and Mrs. Deepthi Priyanka A., Assistant Professor, CSE, to kindly lead us with the invocation.
Shakti Sahita Ganapatim Shankaradi Sevitam Virakta Sakala Munivara Suraraja Vinuta Guru Gurum Shakti Sahita Ganapatim Shankaradi Sevitam Virakta Sakala Munivara Suraraja Vinuta Gurum Bhaktali Poshakam Bhavasutam Vinayakam Bhaktali Poshakam Bhavasutam Vinayakam Bhakti Mukti Prada Bhushitamam Raktapadam Mujabhabayami Shakti Sahita Ganapatim Shankaradi Sevitam Virakta Sakala Munivara Suraraja Vinuta Guruvam.
Thank you, ma'am. A very warm welcome once again to everyone present. To formally welcome the August gathering, I request Dr. Santosh Krishna, the Head, Department of Computer Science and Engineering, Data Science, to deliver the welcome address.
Innovation is strongest when it is rooted in knowledge, guided by values, and inspired by tradition. Everyone Good morning to one and all. India has a rich legacy of knowledge that has contributed significantly to science, engineering, mathematics, medicine, architecture, and sustainable technologies. As engineers, educators, researchers, and students, it is important for us to understand this rich heritage and explore how its principles can inspire modern engineering, research, and innovation. Today, Indian knowledge systems are receiving greater attention through the vision of the National Educational Policy 2020. encouraging educational institutions to integrate traditional wisdom with contemporary education and research. This conclave is a step in that direction, bringing together academic experts, researchers, industry experts, and students to exchange ideas and explore the relevance of Indian knowledge systems in engineering, technology, innovation, and entrepreneurship. On behalf of Bangalore Technological Institute, it gives me immense pleasure to welcome you all to the Two-Day National Level Conclave on Indian knowledge systems organized by the IKS Centre IPR Cell under the aegis of IQAC in association with Visvesvaraya Technological University, Belagavi. It is a great privilege to extend a heartfelt welcome to our beloved President, Dr. A. Prabhakar Reddy. Sir, your visionary leadership, unwavering commitment to academic excellence, and constant encouragement have been the driving force behind many successful initiatives at our institution. We sincerely acknowledge your invaluable guidance and support. I also extend a warm and respectful welcome to our esteemed trustee, Dr. Manjula. Madam, your unwavering support, encouragement, and dedication towards fostering quality education and holistic institutional development continue to inspire us. We sincerely acknowledge your invaluable guidance and encouragement. It is my great privilege to extend a heartfelt welcome to our esteemed guest of honor, Dr. Varun Murthy, an eminent physician, educationist, author, and speaker. Sir, we are truly honored by your gracious presence and we are eagerly looking forward for your inspiring address. May I request Dr. Sohan Kumar Gupta, HOD, Computer Engineering, to kindly present a bouquet and welcome our esteemed guest of honor, Dr. Varun Murthy, sir. Welcome, sir. It is a pleasure to extend a heartfelt welcome to our respected principal, Dr. H.S. Nanda. Sir, your continuous guidance, encouragement, and unwavering support have played a vital role in making this conclave a reality. We are delighted to have you with us today, sir. May I now request Dr. Jardin Shivani, HOD, CSE, to kindly present a bouquet and welcome our respected principal, sir. Welcome, sir. A special welcome to our first resource person today, Srirangam Kovil Bilpar, Sri Uve Paravastu Varadarajan Swami, sir, for joining us today. I request Professor Deepa, HOD, ECE, to welcome with a bouquet. Welcome, sir. It is my pleasure to extend a heartfelt welcome to our convener of the event, Dr. Eminent Swami. Sir, your vision, dedication, and tireless efforts have been instrumental in organizing this national conclave. We sincerely appreciate your leadership and commitment. May I now request Dr. Basavaraj, Professor ECE, to kindly present a bouquet and welcome our event convener. Welcome, sir. It is my pleasure to extend heartfelt welcome to our event coordinator, Dr. Nagashri Narayan Bhatt. Madam, your meticulous planning, enthusiastic coordination, and dedicated efforts have contributed immensely to the successful organization of this conclave. We deeply appreciate your commitment and hard work. May I now request Dr. Muhammad Salih, HOD, Robotics, to kindly present a bouquet and welcome our event convener. Welcome, madam. I extend a special and heartfelt welcome to the faculty members of our institution, C. Bangalore Institute of Technology. Your gracious presence and enthusiastic participation add great value to this conclave, and we are delighted to have with you us. I also extend a cordial welcome to all the eminent resource persons, student presenters, faculty members, researchers, industry experts, scholars, and my dear students from various institutions who have joined us today. Your gracious presence has truly enriched this national level conclave and reflects our shared commitment of learning, collaboration, and innovation. As we begin this academic journey, let us remember that engineering is not merely about building technologies. It is about building a better society through knowledge, innovation, and values. I take this opportunity to express my sincere appreciation to the organizing committee, IKS Centre, IQAC, IPR Cell, faculty coordinators, student volunteers, and everyone whose dedication and hard work have made this national level conclave possible. Once again, I extend a warm welcome to each one of you.
Thank you, sir, for your warm words of welcome. Light symbolizes knowledge, wisdom, and prosperity. May I now request our esteemed dignitaries to kindly come forward for the lighting of the lamp, marking the formal inauguration of this conclave. Thank you, respected dignitaries. To brief us about the significance and objectives of this conclave, I invite Dr. M.A. Dorayanandaswamy, Director IQAC, to address the gathering.
Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. I humbly pronounce to the esteemed dignitaries and participants and my dear colleagues. It's an auspicious day immediately after Guru Purnima. We are starting this IKS conclave. The story of IKS conclave starts here. Like, first I should start thanking Dr. Kini Riyaman. Maybe everyone may wonder what it is like. It was given to ma'am only at first. Due to some medical reasons, ma'am could not continue, and the principal sir gave that course to me. That was the starting point. I took that course. We formed a team, and we are standing here now, conducting the conclave. First, thanks to Riya ma'am and Principal Sir for making this course to this level. Actually, why IKS? Why not we are talking about any other technology or other things? Why IKS? Probably you will understand, you will get the answer after attending all the sessions. Even in my session also, I will answer for this question briefly. Then regarding the title is convened in this way, like from legacy to innovation. We want to have the legacy, how this is going to impart the inventions and the innovations on date. Then what happens when tradition meets future through IKS, how we are going to achieve that. So this is the conclave theme or the title we formulated. And as it was mentioned already, this conclave is joint venture of our university, IKS Centre IPR Cell R&D, and supported by IQAC. So I thank all the heads of these centers. Around 100 external registrations we got, 150 internal registrations, 7 speakers from Tamil Nadu, Gujarat, Mysore, Tumkur and Bangalore BTI. We are presenting 11 case studies, ongoing projects from the departments of AML, ECE, ROA and Computer Science and Engineering. We got participants from the south region of India, Tamil Nadu, Kerala, Goa, Karnataka, Bengaluru, Tumkur, Hubballi, Udupi, Mangaluru, Karwar, Belagavi and so on. So we thank all the participants all the way coming from such long distances and attending this conclave. Also, I would like to extend my thanks to our sister institution participants who are gracing this occasion. We processed this with, or we are going to process or proceed this conclave with the upcoming conference having a track for paper submission to be published in the proceedings with ISBN and journals. So all the participants, this is one more additional information I am giving. So you can think of presenting papers to us also. And also we have planned an IKS exhibition which will be shortly opened and all the participants and the colleagues can view that. IKS Centre now functioning in our institution with Dr. Santosh Krishna, Dr. Sri Pannagam, Dr. Paye Porwar, Dr. Anjana, Dr. Kiniriya Jacob, Professor Bhavani, Professor Nikki Gupta, Dr. Nagashri and myself. With this, I take bye from you and I meet you during my session. Thanks to all the HODs, committee members for making it possible. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. It's now my privilege to invite Dr. Gayatri Tanuja, Head, Department of AI, to introduce our esteemed inaugural guest.
Respected Chairman sir in his absentia, Principal sir, dignitaries on the dais, respected faculty members and my dear students, very good morning all of you. It gives me immense pleasure to introduce the guest of honor today. So before I proceed, there is a saying from Dr. Varun sir, India does not have an education problem, it has an education disease, and diseases need doctors, not spectators. So to go inside briefly, Dr. Varun Murthy is a medical doctor who has spent more than 15 years diagnosing and treating India's education system from inside it. Trained at Kempegowda Institute of Medical Sciences, Bangalore, and in clinical practice since 2007, he kept meeting a sickness in his patients that no prescription could cure. Wasted potential, broken confidence, and young people prepared for examinations but not for life. Its roots, he concluded, lay in how India educates. So he carried a clinician's discipline of symptom diagnosis and prescription into the classroom and has never left. He has worked at every layer of Indian education, head of academics at BYJU'S during its national expansion, senior lead professor as unacademic teaching, some of the country's largest online audiences, and founder of a succession of institutions of his own. Today, as founder and Secretary of the Rebuild India Foundation, he leads an education-centered community development movement. Noble International School in Bangalore, the Rebuild India Medical Academy, the city model of social innovation and grassroots programs in student development, parental empowerment and women's empowerment. He also leads ARISE, the Foundation's national youth and volunteer movement which builds individual worth into national worth through 4 pillars called knowledge, skills, network and wealth. From 2024 to 2026, he served as program lead of Meghalaya Star 30, the government of Meghalaya's flagship NEET coaching program, providing on government record that so-called weak students fail systems, not the other way around. In 2025, he founded Dr. Varun Exam Excellence and Residential NEET campus outside Bengaluru, built on the conviction that deep learning requires the whole person, disciplined routines, mentorship and character, not just content delivery. His philosophy compresses into 4 words. Vyakti Nirman se Rashtra Nirman, nation building through person building. His success blueprint, a 16-point program for multidimensional excellence, turns that conviction into method. He is author of Arjuna to You, Bhagavad Gita to the Young Indian, available on Kindle with the film We Cannot Stop forthcoming. Coming to his recognitions, he won Young Social Entrepreneur Award, National Foundation for Entrepreneurship Development, NFED 2023. He won National Builder Award and Educational Excellence Award from Rotary, Social Impact Icon of India from Two-Day Forum, Director, Rotary South Bangalore. We welcome you, sir, for the today's meeting.
Thank you, ma'am. Now I request our respected dignitaries to kindly felicitate the inaugural guest as a token of our gratitude and appreciation. Thank you, dignitaries. It's now our privilege to invite Dr. Varun Murthy, founder, Dr. Varun Exam Excellence and Rebuild India Medical Academy, to deliver the inaugural address.
Remembering and bowing down to the feet of all my gurus, I begin my address by thanking the dignitaries on the dais and off the dais. First of all, for having an event, having a two-day national conclave on Indian knowledge systems, and driving that commitment to reviving the Indian knowledge systems and contextualizing that to solve the problems of today to build a better future. And I am of the conviction that India and the Indian thought is the solution to all the problems of the world today. I've seen that it is 5 minutes that I have for the address. So while the introductions and the contextualization of the event was going on, I was just thinking on what are the things that I should touch upon so that the 5 minutes becomes meaningful in putting things into context and opening up the thought that Indian thought is the solution to the global problems that we face today. If you look at the problems, all problems are because of the individual only. Everywhere systems are led by individuals. There are systems, there are policies made, there are systems that are created, there are processes that are created, through which again individuals are the ones who move around, working through everything. We see that policies are created by the government, and the people who are supposed to implement the policies are the ones who will use the policies for selfish needs. So the root cause of all problems in the world is the individual, and the solution to all problems in the world should also be the individual. And if we look at all the thought processes, if we look at the globally available thought processes, we see a few understanding of thinking being misplaced. So I'll just tell a few terms that are commonly used by everybody but often misunderstood by most of the people. Dharma, Pantha, Mata. These are the three things. If we think about what are the equivalent of Dharma, Pantha and Mata in English, we don't find equivalent terms to describe Dharma, Pantha and Mata in clear terms. Dharma, if I had to say, is the value framework. Value framework. If we look at the value framework of the Indian thought process, there are thousands of ways that the value propositions are given. That is the beauty of our Bharat and the Bharatiya value systems. One thing that I want to bring in is the value framework as propounded by Patanjali Maharshi in the Ashtanga Yoga. Yama is the value framework. Satya, Ahimsa, Asteya, Aparigraha, Brahmacharya. These are the values. There cannot be conflict in the values that can transform an individual into a better individual. So Dharma is undisputed. Dharma is a framework of values that will tell the individual the direction in which the individual has to move. Based on the values, that is based on the Dharma, there will be philosophies that are created. Philosophies can be considered as Pantha. We have a scholar on Vishishtadvaita. Vishishtadvaita is a Pantha. Advaita is a Pantha. It is a philosophy which draws from the Dharma, which builds on the dharmic principles and lays out the foundation of thought process. How should we think about pertinent problems? So all our Indian philosophies talk about creation, creator and the created. What are we supposed to do? There is creation, there is creator, and how are we supposed to transition from being the creation to merging with the creator? From the finite to the infinite. Okay? Brahmanda Dinda, Pindanda. The atom to the universe. It's all interchangeable. So the thought of God can be smaller than the smallest and bigger than the biggest is an Indian thought. The thought that God is this way, my God is the only God, if this is the only perception of God, is the root cause of conflict. Anyways, we will not go into the conflict issues. I will only talk about how the Indian thought is the solution to all the problems of the world today. So I told the second word, Pantha. Pantha is a philosophy. Mata is a framework of action. What am I supposed to do on a day-to-day basis? Mata is what will bring in do's and don'ts. Mata will bring in reward and punishment. So if you have something which will talk about reward and punishment, that is a Mata. Mata means abhimata, opinions. It is my opinion based on something which can be a Pantha, which is a philosophy, should be based on Dharma. Dharma is universal. Now think about it. How many dharmic frameworks do we find in the world today? There are no dharmic frameworks that we find in the world today. All that we find as thought processes that drive people's lives are Mata frameworks. Mata frameworks, nothing wrong. We need Matas. The constitution of the college, the bylaws in the institution are all Mata. The bylaws of this institution can be different from the bylaws of another institution. They are the guiding principles. It is necessary to organize people into functioning clusters of social groups. Otherwise, there will be conflicts within the groups that are supposed to work towards common purposes. Confusing or misrepresenting Mata as the ultimate truth is the root cause of all the conflicts that we find today in the world. Now, how do we work through with that then? How is the context of this conference of 2 days going to solve that? Maybe I'll put out a few thoughts to think on. The thoughts will be addressed in the sessions that are scheduled for the next 2 days. There are 8 sessions with wonderful speakers, and we have a great scholar amongst us today that I am also eager to listen to. There are 4 levels that we have to look at. The theme of the conclave is from legacy to innovation, tradition meets future. Through IKS. Through IKS, Indian Knowledge System. So we have the legacy, what is the legacy and how at 4 levels. So my focus is always the individual. You fix the individual, everything else will be fixed. That is the purpose of my life's vision. Vyakti nirmanadinda rashtra nirmana. Vyakti nirmana se rashtra nirmana. You fix the individual, everything else will be fixed because everything is driven by individuals, everything is led by individuals, and no matter what kind of systems you create, what kind of policies you bring in, what kind of innovations you bring in, if the individual who drives that is not right, if the individual is driven by swartha, then the more intelligent the individual is, the more dangerous he is going to become because the more he will become capable of manipulating the system to benefit his own selfish ends. So, better systems will work only with better individuals with the right kind of values. So, I will just list down a few things that our Indian thought process gives the world as a blueprint. The individual, how do an individual transition? We have the blueprint in the Ashtanga Yoga. Yama, Niyama, Asana, Pranayama, Pratyahara, Dharana, Dhyana, Samadhi. Yama gives us the value framework, Satya, Ahimsa, Asteya, Aparigrha, Brahmacharya. Niyama says what are we supposed to do on a daily basis? Shaucha, Santosha, Swadhyaya, Tapaha, Ishvara, Pranidhana. Asana says how do we gain control over our body? Pranayama says how do we gain control over our mind through the manipulation of the prana shakti. Then the next 4 are based on karma. The first 4, Yama, Niyama, Asana, Pranayama can be universally applied. Everybody can define the value frameworks. Everybody can decide to have a routine that is as per the Shastras. And everybody can decide to work on their body and breath to gain control over their mind. The next 4, Pratyahara, Dharana, Dhyana, Samadhi need some karmic backing. Whatever our karmas allow us to progress towards, we will progress. But the first 4 can be universalized. This is the individual progress. The second, families. Families also need to have values. What were the values? If you look at our, let's say 2-3 generations ago, we had 4 values common to all people in our country. Few generations ago, we can say. That is the time when people did not have material wealth, but people had happiness. They were happy. Today, a marriage is fixed in the family. They have nothing to take care of the marriage will still happen. Today, without having your approved loans, you cannot start planning for anything. There is nobody who will join hands. So, families and the close circles should be based on the 3 values. Samarpana, Seva, Tyaga. Samarpana is dedication. I dedicate myself to my family. I dedicate myself to my community. Seva, service above self. Serving the elderly, serving the weak, serving the helpless. These are our Indian values. These are not something that needs to be taught to us by anybody. These are inherent. We have forgotten. What Shankara says, Jagan Mithya Brahma Satya. Jagan is Maya. The Maya has made us forget what we are. Moksha, according to Shankara, is just realization. You realize that this is false, then it is you are gone. You are settled. Moksha is achieved. It is not a process, it is a moment. Instant, the moment you realize you are done, your moksha is achieved. So, Samarpana, Seva, Tyaga, 3 values brought into the families makes the families happy. My duty is to ensure that people who are dependent on me are taken care of. When everybody does that, everybody's interests are taken care of because when you are focusing on taking care of somebody's interests, you will do it better than what you would do with taking care of your own interests. So we need to shift our focus from Swartha Bhava to Samashti Bhava, the focus on the well-being of the community around us. Then the societies and nations progress with mutual respect. Respect for different kinds of thought. Innovation drives in multiple directions, multiple dimensions and directions. You might be working on something, I might be working on something, and both of us might be working in opposite directions. Both of us might be contradiction to each other. But unless I can respect you and your innovation and you can respect me and my innovation, it is not possible for us to contribute to the overall exploration of truth. Nobody knows the truth. Truth is infinite and all our faculties to understand anything is finite. How can finite comprehend the infinite? So, depending on the extent of evolution of our finite faculties, we will be able to understand the truth in some perspectives that our faculties will drive us to understand. Beyond that, we cannot understand. So, it is impossible that anybody who understands the truth will be able to tell it. All the masters, Shankara, Madhva, Ramanuja, all the masters that have come, they realize the truth but it cannot be put out in the finite faculties that is. So truth is in the dimension of realization, not even in the dimension of experience. So innovation is the exploration of truth. Science is the exploration of truth. And when we are exploring truth based on our own understanding of the problem and our own faculties, capabilities, we will not be able to be on the same page of conclusions about what our truths are. And it is only Bharat which, as a philosophy, which as the value of the land, talks about mutual respect. Ekam sat vipraha bahuda vadanti. Bharat does not even say that God has to be thought about in one way. Bharat says you can think about God in any way. God himself says in the Bhagavad Gita, he says this, ye yatha mam prapadyante mam tataiva bhajamyaham mama vartmanu vartante manushyaha partha sarvashah. ಯಾರು ನನ್ನನ್ನು ಹೇಗೆ ಆರಾಧಿಸ್ತಾರೋ ನಾನು ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ಅದೇ ರೀತಿಯಿಂದ ಅನುಗ್ರಹ ಮಾಡ್ತೀನಿ. I will bless the people the way they want me to bless them. This is the level of freedom and freedom of thought that we have. And it is a shame that people tell Indians to be liberal. The Indians are the most liberal. India and the Bharatiya thought is the epitome of liberty and free speech. Liberty and free thought. Everything is respected. Charvaka is a respected and accepted philosophy in our country. Charvaka is an absolute materialist. Materialism, that the denial and the rejection of God, is an accepted philosophy, is an accepted way of thought. Where else do you find where the thoughts and philosophies related to God can coexist with mutual respect? We are a country which is rooted in the foundations of acceptance, and we are being told to be tolerant. Tolerance is a shame on Bharat. Secularism is a shame on Bharat. Bharat is an inclusive country. It accepts everybody. It accepts everybody as its own and respects every thought. And secularism is rooted in tolerance, not acceptance. I don't like what you do, but I will not do anything to you because I am secular. Bharat is a country of inclusion. Bharat is a country of acceptance. These are the dimensions that we have to look at and think about. And innovation comes with three things. Again, Krishna talks about this in the Bhagavad Gita. I don't know where I will reach. The bigger problems you are out to solve, the bigger are the challenges, and your chances of failure is higher than the chances of success. So how do we stay on the path when the chances of failure is more than the chances of success, and we might not even be able to see the end of what we start? Krishna says, Karmani vadikaraste ma paleshu kadachana ma karma palahetu durmate sangosko karmani. Do your duty. Forget about the outcomes. I will take care of the outcomes. It is not in your control. Bharat says that. The second, how do I do whatever I do? I might not feel like doing what I am doing. Students here, you might not feel like wanting to attend college. You might not feel like doing that. But Krishna says, do everything with Shraddha, because Shraddha is the foundation of knowledge. Shraddhavan lavate gnanam tatpara samyatindriyaha gnanam latva param shantim achirenadi gacchati. The root of all eternal happiness is Shraddha. Do everything with Shraddha. Shraddha, again, does not have an equivalent term in English. There is no equivalent term in English for Shraddha. The language which has the limitation of expressing the thoughts of human emotion is being used to interpret the dimensions of Indian thought, which goes from the individual to the infinite. See the irony of it and see the joke that we have made our country to be. And the third thing that we have to work on innovation is, what am I supposed to do now? I might not have enough research facilities. This is what we tell, no, India does not have enough research facilities. India does not have this. If we had these things, we would have done so many things. Krishna says, Uttare Atmanatmanam na Atmanam avasadaye Atmaiva Atmano Bandhu Atmaiva Vipuratmanaha. You have to ensure that you progress. With whatever you have today, you do what best is possible with what you have today. If conditions become better and if facilitation is better, we will be able to do better work. But we don't wait for things to improve to start working. We work today on what is possible today so that I keep moving in the path of progress. What I have told is a few things. There are millions of references, millions of shastras, millions of thoughts in all aspects of life that Bharat is a repository of. in spite of most of what was available was destroyed. What is remaining of Bharat as the thought process documented and available for us to research and build systems and processes on is a fraction of what was available, and what is available now is more than enough to take care of all the problems of the world. And I conclude by thanking the leaders of the institution for organizing this beautiful conclave, and I thank and congratulate all the participants here for being a part of this. Thank you very much for giving a patient hearing, and thank you very much for giving me an opportunity to express my thoughts on something that my entire life is dedicated to. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for your inspiring words. We now move to the another significant moment of today's inaugural ceremony, the release of souvenir. I request our respected principal to kindly release this souvenir. Thank you, sir. I now request our respected principal, Dr. H.S. Nanda, to deliver the presidential address.
Good morning, everybody. Learned dignitaries on the dais, my dear faculty members and participants and student friends. ಭಾರತೀಯ ಜ್ಞಾನ ಪರಂಪರೆ ನಮ್ಮ ಹೆಮ್ಮೆ, ನಮ್ಮ ಭವಿಷ್ಯದ ದಾರಿದೀಪ. Indian knowledge systems are our pride and guiding light of our future. First of all, I appreciate the organizing committee to organize such a meaningful conclave with 7 learned people as speaker for this conclave. Dr. Rangaswamy and Dr. Nagashri Bhatt have come with a proposal to organize this IKS. Not at all related to academic earlier. Professor Rangaswamy was telling how this IKS has come to this stage in BTI. If I remember in 2023, for first year orientation, I think some of students may be here. When it is not taught in university also, for orientation program we requested our senior professor, Dr. Balasubramaniam, to deliver a lecture on Indian knowledge system. That is where at BTI in 2023 this IKS was started. After 2 years, or after 1 year, university has introduced in the academic, that is Indian knowledge system subject. As Professor Dharendra Swami was telling, this subject was assigned to Dr. Ria because I felt somehow she was free. Again, because of some issues in between, she could not continue with this subject. Then, looking into the body language of Dr. Dharendra Swami, I thought he is the right person to handle this IKS to fulfill the university norms. He has taken, actually starting he was hesitating, I don't know like that. But I told definitely you will do, Professor, you take care. Then he started, and first time he has handled this IKS alone. Then he's managed a team depending upon the topic in the IKS. As he mentioned, what the members are there in the IKS system. This is how IKS is initiated at Bangalore Technological Institute in coordination with BTI. Once again, I appreciate the effort of Dr. Dharendra Swami and Dr. Nagashri Bhatt to take risk and their hard work in organizing this Two-Day National Conclave. And I wish all the participants this conclave definitely will get a knowledge beyond your academics as like a value added material, and hope you will spend 2 days, full days at BTI campus. Thank you and wish you all the best.
Thank you, sir, for your encouraging and motivating address. Every successful event concludes with gratitude. Now I invite Dr. Sri Pannaga, Associate Professor, Department of Mechanical Engineering, to propose the vote of thanks.
ಎಲ್ಲರಿಗೂ ನಮಸ್ಕಾರ ಮತ್ತು ಶುಭೋದಯ. ಭಾರತೀಯ ಜ್ಞಾನ ಪರಂಪರಾ ವಿಶ್ವಗುರುತ್ವಸ್ಯ ಆಧಾರ. ಭಾರತೀಯ ಜ್ಞಾನ ಪರಂಪರೆಯೇ ಭಾರತವು ವಿಶ್ವಗುರುವಾಗಿ ಬೆಳೆಯಲು ಮೂಲಾಧಾರವಾಗಿದೆ ಎಂಬ ಮಾತಿನಂತೆ ಇಂದಿನ ಈ ಅಭೂತಪೂರ್ವ ಕಾರ್ಯಕ್ರಮದ ಕೊನೆಯ ಘಟ್ಟದಲ್ಲಿದ್ದೇವೆ. ಕೃತಜ್ಞತಾ ಭಾವವೇ ಮಾನವೀಯತೆಯ ಶ್ರೇಷ್ಠ ಅಲಂಕಾರ ಎಂಬಂತೆ ಅದೆಂತೂ ಆದಿಯೊಳು ಸ್ವಾಗತವೋ ಅಂತ್ಯದಲ್ಲಿ ಧನ್ಯವಾದ. ಭವ್ಯವಾದ ಕಾರ್ಯಕ್ರಮದ ಧನ್ಯವಾದ ಸಮರ್ಪಣೆಯ ಸುಯೋಗ ನನ್ನ ಪಾಲಿಗೆದೆಂದು ಒದಗಿದೆ. ನಾನು ಡಾಕ್ಟರ್ ಶ್ರೀ ಪನ್ನಾಗ, ಅಸೋಸಿಯೇಟ್ ಪ್ರೊಫೆಸರ್, ಡಿಪಾರ್ಟ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಆಫ್ ಮೆಕ್ಯಾನಿಕಲ್ ಇಂಜಿನಿಯರಿಂಗ್, ನಿಮ್ಮ ಮುಂದೆ ಧನ್ಯತಾ ಭಾವದಲ್ಲಿ ಧನ್ಯತೆಯ ಸಮರ್ಪಣೆಗೆ. ಆದ್ಯದಲ್ಲಿ ಭಾರತೀಯ ಜ್ಞಾನ ಪರಂಪರೆಯ ಮಹತ್ವವನ್ನು ತಮ್ಮ ಆಳವಾದ ಚಿಂತನೆಗಳು ಹಾಗೂ ಪ್ರೇರಣಾದಾಯಕ ಸಂದೇಶದ ಮೂಲಕ ನಮ್ಮೆಲ್ಲರ ಮನಸ್ಸಿನಲ್ಲಿ ಅಚ್ಚೊತ್ತಲು ಬಂದಿರುವ ಪೂಜ್ಯ ಶ್ರೀ ಪರಮಾವಸ್ತು ವರದರಾಜನ್ ಸ್ವಾಮಿಯವರಿಗೆ ನಮ್ಮ ಅನಂತ ಪ್ರಣಾಮಗಳು. ತಮ್ಮ ಆಶೀರ್ವಾದಗಳು ನಮ್ಮ ವಿದ್ಯಾರ್ಥಿಗಳು, ಶಿಕ್ಷಕರು ಹಾಗೂ ಸಮಾಜದ ಸರ್ವರಿಗೂ ಸದಾ ಪ್ರೇರಣೆಯಾಗಲಿ ಎಂದು ಪ್ರಾರ್ಥಿಸುತ್ತಾ ಪೂಜ್ಯ ಸ್ವಾಮಿ ಅವರಿಗೆ ನಮ್ಮ ಹೃತ್ಪೂರ್ವಕ ಕೃತಜ್ಞತೆಗಳು ಹಾಗೂ ಗೌರವಪೂರ್ವಕ ಧನ್ಯವಾದಗಳನ್ನು ಅರ್ಪಿಸುತ್ತೇವೆ. ಇಂದಿನ ವಿದ್ವತ್ ಚಿಂತನ ಗೋಷ್ಠಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ತಮ್ಮ ಅದ್ಭುತ ವಿಚಾರಧಾರೆಯ ಮೂಲಕ ಭಾರತೀಯ ಪ್ರಾಚೀನ ಜ್ಞಾನ ಪರಂಪರೆಯ ಆಧುನಿಕ ಕಾಲದೊಳಗಿನ ಪ್ರಸ್ತುತಿಯನ್ನು ಮನದಾಳದಲ್ಲಿ ಅಚ್ಚೊತ್ತುವಂತೆ ಮಾಡಿದ ಡಾಕ್ಟರ್ ವರುಣ್ ಮೂರ್ತಿ ಅವರಿಗೂ ಕೂಡ ಹೃದಯಪೂರ್ವಕ ಕೃತಜ್ಞತೆಗಳು. ಜ್ಞಾನವನ್ನು ಹಂಚಿದಷ್ಟು ಅದು ಹೆಚ್ಚುತ್ತದೆ, ಸಂಸ್ಕೃತಿಯನ್ನು ಬದುಕಿದಷ್ಟು ಅದು ಬೆಳೆಯುತ್ತದೆ ಎಂಬ ದೂರದೃಷ್ಟಿಯ ಕೊಟ್ಟು ವಿದ್ಯಾರ್ಥಿಗಳ ಸರ್ವತೋಮುಖ ಬೆಳವಣಿಗೆಯನ್ನು ತಮ್ಮ ಧ್ಯೇಯವನ್ನಾಗಿಸಿಕೊಂಡಿರುವ ಪ್ರೇರಣಾದಾಯಕ ನಾಯಕರು. ಅವರ ಸಮರ್ಪಿತ ನಾಯಕತ್ವ, ಶಿಸ್ತು, ಮೌಲ್ಯಾಧಾರಿತ ಶಿಕ್ಷಣದ ಬದ್ಧತೆ ಮತ್ತು ನಿರಂತರ ಮಾರ್ಗದರ್ಶನದಿಂದ ನಮ್ಮ ಸಂಸ್ಥೆ ದಿನದಿಂದ ದಿನಕ್ಕೆ ಹೊಸ ಎತ್ತರಗಳನ್ನು ತಲುಪುತ್ತಿವೆ. ಅಂತಹ ಆದರಣೀಯ ಪ್ರಾಂಶುಪಾಲರಾದ ಡಾಕ್ಟರ್ ಎಚ್.ಎಸ್. ಕಂದಾ ಇವರಿಗೂ ಹೃತ್ಪೂರ್ವಕ ಗೌರವ ಮತ್ತು ಕೃತಜ್ಞತೆಗಳನ್ನು ಸಲ್ಲಿಸುತ್ತಿದ್ದೇವೆ. ಇಂದಿನ ಈ ವಿಚಾರ ಮಂಥನದ ಸದುದ್ದೇಶವನ್ನು ತಮ್ಮ ಚಿಂತನೆಯ ಜೊತೆಗೂಡಿ ಅರ್ಥಪೂರ್ಣವಾಗಿಸಿ ನಮ್ಮೆಲ್ಲರ ಮನಪಟಲಕ್ಕೆ ಹಾಸು ಹೊಕ್ಕುವಂತೆ ಮಾಡಿ ಪ್ರಾಸ್ತಾವಿಕತೆಯನ್ನು ಪ್ರಸ್ತುತಪಡಿಸಿದ ಕನ್ವೀನರ್ ಡಾಕ್ಟರ್ ದೊರೆರಂಗಸ್ವಾಮಿ, ಸೀನಿಯರ್ ಪ್ರೊಫೆಸರ್, ಡಿಪಾರ್ಟ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಆಫ್ ಆರ್ಟಿಫಿಷಿಯಲ್ ಇಂಟೆಲಿಜೆನ್ಸ್ ಅಂಡ್ ಮಿಷಿನ್ ಲರ್ನಿಂಗ್ ಅವರಿಗೆ ನಿಮ್ಮೆಲ್ಲರ ಪರವಾಗಿ ಮನದಾಳದ ವಂದನೆಗಳು. ಯೋಗ ಕರ್ಮಸ್ಸು ಕೌಶಲಂ, ಕರ್ಮದಲ್ಲಿ ಕೌಶಲ್ಯವೇ ಯೋಗವಾಗಿದೆ ಎಂಬ ಶ್ಲೋಕದ ಸಾರವನ್ನು ಕಾರ್ಯಶೈಲಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ಸಮರ್ಪಕವಾಗಿ ಮತ್ತು ಯಶಸ್ವಿಯಾಗಿ ಸಂಯೋಜಿಸಿ ಈ ಕಾರ್ಯಕ್ರಮವು ಅತ್ಯಂತ ಅರ್ಥಪೂರ್ಣವಾಗಿ ಹಾಗೂ ಯಶಸ್ವಿಯಾಗಿ ನೆರವೇರಲು ಶ್ರಮಿಸಿದ ಡಾಕ್ಟರ್ ನಾಗಶ್ರೀ ನಾರಾಯಣ ಭಟ್, ಅಸೋಸಿಯೇಟ್ ಪ್ರೊಫೆಸರ್, ಡಿಪಾರ್ಟ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಆಫ್ ಸೈನ್ಸ್ ಅಂಡ್ ಹ್ಯುಮ್ಯಾನಿಟೀಸ್ ಇವರಿಗೂ ಅರ್ಥಪೂರ್ಣವಾದ ಧನ್ಯವಾದಗಳು. ಉಪಕಾರವನ್ನು ಸ್ಮರಿಸುವ ಹೃದಯವೇ ನಿಜವಾದ ಸಂಸ್ಕೃತಿಯ ಪ್ರತೀಕ ಎಂಬ ಮಾತಿನಂತೆ ಇಂದು ಈ ವೇದಿಕೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ಭಾರತೀಯ ಜ್ಞಾನ ಪರಂಪರೆಯ ಅಮೂಲ್ಯ ಸಂದೇಶವನ್ನು ಆಲಿಸುವ ಹಾಗೂ ಅನುಭವಿಸುವ ಅಪೂರ್ವ ಅವಕಾಶ ನಮಗೆ ದೊರಕಿದೆ. ಈ ಕಾರ್ಯಕ್ರಮದ ಯಶಸ್ಸಿಗೆ ಪ್ರತ್ಯಕ್ಷವಾಗಿ ಮತ್ತು ಪರೋಕ್ಷವಾಗಿ ತಮ್ಮ ಅಮೂಲ್ಯ ಸಮಯ, ಶ್ರಮ, ಪ್ರೋತ್ಸಾಹ ಮತ್ತು ಸಹಕಾರವನ್ನು ನೀಡಿದ ಪ್ರತಿಯೊಬ್ಬ ಮಹನೀಯರಿಗೂ ನನ್ನ ಹೃತ್ಪೂರ್ವಕ ಕೃತಜ್ಞತೆಗಳನ್ನು ಸಲ್ಲಿಸುತ್ತೇನೆ. ಈ ಕಾರ್ಯಕ್ರಮಕ್ಕೆ ಆಗಮಿಸಿ ತಮ್ಮ ಸಾನ್ನಿಧ್ಯದಿಂದ ವೇದಿಕೆಗೆ ಗೌರವ ತಂದ ಮುಖ್ಯ ಅತಿಥಿಗಳು, ಸಂಪನ್ಮೂಲ ವ್ಯಕ್ತಿಗಳು, ಮಾರ್ಗದರ್ಶಕರು, ಸಂಯೋಜಕರು, ಪ್ರಾಂಶುಪಾಲರು, ಅಧ್ಯಾಪಕ ವೃಂದ, ಸಿಬ್ಬಂದಿ, ಪ್ರೀತಿಯ ವಿದ್ಯಾರ್ಥಿಗಳು ಹಾಗೂ ತೆರೆಮರೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ಶ್ರಮಿಸಿದ ಪ್ರತಿಯೊಬ್ಬರಿಗೂ ಮಗದೊಮ್ಮೆ ಅನಂತ ಧನ್ಯವಾದಗಳು. ಕೃತಜ್ಞತೆಯು ಮಾತಿನದಷ್ಟೇ ಅಲ್ಲ, ಹೃದಯದ ಭಾವದಲ್ಲೂ ವ್ಯಕ್ತವಾಗಬೇಕು. ಭಾರತೀಯ ಜ್ಞಾನ ಪರಂಪರೆಯ ಬೆಳಕು ನಮ್ಮ ಜೀವನವನ್ನು ಸದಾ ಪ್ರಜ್ವಲಿಸಲಿ ಎಂದು ಆಶಿಸುತ್ತಾ ಅಯಂ ನಿಜಃ ಪರೋವೇದಿ ಗಣಾನಾಂ ಲಘುಚೇತಸಾಂ ಉದಾರ ಚರಿತಾನಾಂ ತು ವಸುದೈವ ಕುಟುಂಬಕಂ ಎನ್ನುತ್ತಾ ಎಲ್ಲರಿಗೂ ಸುಮಂಗಳವಾಗಲಿ ಎಂದು ನನ್ನ ಮಾತನ್ನು ಮುಗಿಸುತ್ತೇನೆ.
Thank you, sir, for your kind attention. Line spinning is going on. I request everyone to kindly rise for national anthem.
गणमन अधिनायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता पंजाब सिंध गुजरात मराठा द्राविड उत्कल बंगा विंध्य हिमाचल यमुना गंगा उच्चल जलधि तरंगा तव शुभ नामे जागे तव शुभ आशीष मागे गाहे तव जय गाथा जन गण मंगलदायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता जय हे जय हे जय हे जय 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 हे.
Thank you, sir. With this, we come to end of the inaugural National Level Conclave of Indian Knowledge System. Thank you all for your gracious presence. We wish you a meaningful and enriching conclave. Thank you. Have a wonderful day.
ಲೈವ್ ಹೋಗ್ತಾ ಇದೆಯಲ್ಲ.
ಪೌಸ್ ಮಾಡೋಕ್ಕಾಗಲ್ಲ ಅನ್ಸುತ್ತೆ ಸರ್ ಆ್ಯಕ್ಚುಲಿ. ಅವಾಗ ಏನೋ ಹೇಳ್ಬೇಕು, ಅಲ್ಲಿರ್ಬೇಕಾ ಕ್ಯಾಮ್ರಾ ಸ್ಟ್ಯಾಂಡ್ ಏನಾಗುತ್ತೆ ಅಂದರೆ ನಾವು ಸೆಂಟ್ರಲ್ ನೀವು ಬರ್ತಿದ್ದೀರಾ? ನಾವು ಸೆಂಟ್ರಲ್ ಬರ್ತೀವಿ. ಸಲೀಂ ಸರ್ ಬರ್ತೀವಿ. ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಅದು ಏನಂದರೆ ಸೈಡಲ್ಲಿ ಇಟ್ಟಿದ್ರೆ ಇಲ್ಲಂದ್ರೆ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಮುಂದೆ ಅಲ್ಲೇ ಇಟ್ಟಿದೆ ಸರ್. ಹಾಂ, ಯಾಕಂದರೆ ನಮಗೆ ಡಿಸ್ಟೆನ್ಸು ಕರೆಕ್ಟ್ ಇಲ್ಲಿಡ ಹೇಳ್ತದೆ. ಇಲ್ಲ ಕಾಣಿಸುತ್ತಾ? ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಇಡ್ಸಿ ಸರ್, ಅಲ್ಲಿ ನಡೆಯೋಕ್ಕೂ ಜಾಗ ಇದೆ. ಕ್ಯಾಮ್ರಾ ನೋಡಿ ಸರ್, ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಇಷ್ಟೇ ಇದಾಗುತ್ತೆ. ಈಗೇನಿಲ್ಲ, ಈಗ ಅದೆಲ್ಲ ತೆಗಿತಾರೆ, ತೆಗೆದ್ಮೇಲೆ ಜಸ್ಟ್ ಸ್ಪೀಕರ್ ವಿಲ್ ಟಾಕ್. ಸ್ಪೀಕರ್ ಬರೀ ಮಾತಾಡ್ತಾರೆ. ಹಾಂ, ಬರೀ ಸ್ಪೀಕರ್ ಮಾತಾಡ್ತಾರೆ ಅಷ್ಟೇ. ಸರ್ ಕರೆಕ್ಟಾಗಿ ನೀನು ನಿಂತ್ಕೊಂಡಿರೋ ಜಾಗದಲ್ಲಿ ಸರ್. ಅದು ಆ ಕಡೆ ನಾವು ಬರ್ತೀವಿ. ಬರಲ್ಲ, ನಾವು ಬರಲ್ಲ ನೋಡಿ. ಸೈಡಲ್ಲಿ ನಾವು ಅಲ್ಲಿ ನಿಂತಿರ್ತೀವಿ. ಒಬ್ರು ಈ ಕಡೆ ಅಂತ ಇದನ್ನ ಪೌಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೋದಾ? ಪೌಸ್ ಮಾಡೋಕ್ಕಾಗಲ್ಲ. ಪೌಸ್ ಮಾಡೋಕ್ಕಾಗಲ್ಲ, ಬಟ್ ಹೈಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೋದಾ ವಿಡಿಯೋ? ವಿಡಿಯೋ ಸ್ಟಾಪ್.
It's my pleasure to welcome you all to the technical session of our two-day National Level Conclave on IKS, theme From Legacy to Innovation, Tradition Meets Future through IKS.
Our first session is titled Srirangam town planning and temple administration, a 1,000-year-old legacy. Srirangam is not merely a temple ground, it is a remarkable example of India's civilizational wisdom in urban planning, community administration, architecture, and sustainable management. The lessons it offers continues to inspire scholars, administrators, and planners even today. It is indeed a privilege to have with us a scholar who has devoted his life to preserving and propagating this glorious tradition.
It gives me immense pleasure to introduce our distinguished speaker, Sri Paravastu Varadarajan Swamiji. Sir Swamiji is renowned Koil Vidwan of Srirangam and a respected Malaira Adhyapaka. Sir is scholar of Sri Bhashyam, Bhagavad Bhashyam and Rahasya Granthas and has undergone traditional training in Samaveda under eminent scholars. Sir belongs to the revered disciple lineage of Paravastu Pattabhiranjiyar, one of the Ashtadikkajas of Manavala Munivar. He holds master degree in Vedanta and renders daily Divya Prabandha services at Srirangam and is the founder of Bhaktamrutam, an initiative that connects timeless philosophical wisdom with contemporary audiences. A gifted multilingual speaker, communicates effectively in Tamil, English, Telugu, Hindi and Sanskrit, making traditional knowledge accessible to people from diverse backgrounds. We are honored to have such an eminent scholar with us today. May I request you all to welcome Sri Paravastu Varadarajan Swamiji with a big round of applause to deliver the first session. I request Professor Saravan Sir, HOD, Basic Science and Humanities, to welcome Sir with a bouquet. Thank you, sir. We are eagerly waiting to hear your words. Over to you, sir.
लक्ष्मीनाथ समारंभाम् नाथयामुनमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्ताम् वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्. Welcome to one and all here. This is the first time I have come to a college, and I have not come to study, and I have come to give a lecture, because I had studied till 10th standard in normal schooling circumstances, and then I went to Srirangam to pursue my spiritual studies. So I never had an opportunity to visit a college. I visited a Gurukulam, I studied there, and the first time I am coming to a college, I am required to give a lecture. Just think about this, and I am not very familiar with the normal lecture type of presentations. I am usually comfortable with traditional way of
Pravachanas, Upanyasas. So this is my first attempt with a presentation with me. So please forgive me if I don't understand the decorum. Okay. Today I am here to present a thing that is very close to my heart. I had told you that I went to Sri Lanka after my 10th class. Actually, we had a Divya Desha tour, a tour of temples, and this particular temple, that is the Sri Lankan temple, it attracted me very much. That made me stay in Sri Lanka, pursue my spiritual studies, and now here present about Sri Lanka in front of you. That is the greatness of this temple, that anyone who visits Sri Lanka would be interested to visit it again and again. Today we are going to touch upon some aspects of this temple that you may know or you may not know. I was told that most of you haven't visited Sri Lanka. Is it so? Is there anyone who has visited Sri Lanka here? No. Okay. Yeah, there are people, yes. So those who have visited Sri Lanka must know how big a temple it is. On a daily basis, we find people who enter Sri Lanka temple and they are completely confused about where to go out, how to go out. Because there are gopurams everywhere. There are mandapas everywhere. And that temple is so huge that it takes you at least 1 or 2 weeks to understand where to enter and how to get out. That is the humongous size of this temple. And this is not just a temple, it is a temple city. You have residential places inside the temple premises itself. So this is Sri Lanka for you. And I think I will divide my lecture into 3 parts. The Puranic part, that is the first one. And then the growth of Sri Lanka, how it happened. And the third part would be the contribution of Ramanujacharya to the Sri Lankan temple. This will be how my lecture will be divided into. So the first part is about the Puranic part. We cannot be sure about, is there any evidence for this? Is there any scientific evidence for this? I couldn't get into that. This is how the Puranas mention about Sri Lanka. I take 10 minutes of your time to explain the history, the Purana of Sri Lanka. This Sri Lankan temple has been mentioned in various Puranas. I think you all must be familiar with this word Puranas, right? There are many Puranas, 18 of them which are prominent Puranas. Sri Lanka has been mentioned in Padma Purana, Garuda Purana, Bhalishya Purana, and Skanda Purana. There are many Puranas that speak about Sri Lanka temple. And the origin of Sri Lanka itself is a very nice story. Now we have to go to the time of creation. According to Indian philosophy, our Sampradayas, Bhagavan created Brahma first, the 400 Brahma, and that Brahma took over the creation. Okay, the creator god is Brahma, right? We know the loka where Brahma resides, it is called Brahma Loka or Satya Loka. It is a topmost loka in a Brahmanda. So he resides in Satya Loka, he starts creation. He starts creation and he finds that his creation has a lot of defects in it. People are suffering. Not only humans, even Devatas are suffering. He sees that. He gets depressed. And so he starts a penance towards Bhagavan. He starts a penance towards Bhagavan. And that's when this Sri Lanka Vimana, I will explain what Sri Lanka Vimana is. So Brahma starts a penance on the banks of the Milky Ocean. On the banks of Milky Ocean. And from the Milky Ocean emerges the Sri Lanka Vimana. I will show you the photo of Sri Lanka Vimana. This is Sri Lanka Vimana. Okay, the golden dome structure is called Vimana. Right under that structure resides Lord Ranganatha.
Lord Ranganatha, the deity, is in a reclining posture on Adishesha. Everyone must be familiar with Ananta Padmanabha Swami. You know, he became viral a decade ago. Yeah. So similarly, in Srirangam also you will find Ranganatha Swami, who is reclining on Adishesha, Ananta. Okay. You can find him right under this Vimana. So this structure with a dome and the lower structure is considered to be the Sriranga Vimana. Okay. You can see that there. This Vimana is in the the form of pranava. If you write Om, the structure of that Vimana is in that form. So it is called Pranava Kala Vimana. Okay. So this Vimana, along with the Bhagavan under it, emerges from the Milky Ocean. Now Brahma is very happy. He takes that Sriranga Vimana to his loka, that is Satya Loka. So the origin of this Sriranga Vimana, according to our scriptures, is from the Milky Ocean. Then Lord Ranganatha went to Satyaloka, there he received for a lot of time. It is said that the sun god is named Vivaswan. Sun god is named Vivaswan. And his son is called Vaivasvatamanu. And his grandson is called Ikshvaku. Have you ever heard this name Ikshvaku? Yeah. Ram is from the dynasty of Ikshvaku. The Sion of Ikshvaku, they say. So, this Ikshvaku thinks like this. He thinks our ancestors could go to Brahmaloka and they could worship Lord Ranganatha. But now people have become now people are not able enough to do, not able enough to go to Satyaloka and perform pujas and all. So, now Lord Ranganatha is in Satyaloka. Ikshvaku is planning. Ikshvaku thinks we need to bring Lord Ranganatha to Ayodhya. Ayodhya is a place where Ikshvaku was ruling. So he decides to bring Lord Ranganatha to Ayodhya. He starts a penance. When he starts a penance, Indra and other Devatas are scared that he is aiming for their sthanas. So they come and try to obstruct his tapas, penance, but it is a failure. It is a failure. Indra straight away goes to Brahma and tells him this Ikshvaku is doing some penance. I don't know why he is doing that. Please check that. Brahma, through his yoga drishti, finds that it is not Indra who is targeted, but Brahma himself is targeted. Because Ikshvaku wants to take away the only wealth that Brahma has. That is Ranganatha himself. So, Brahma straight away goes to Lord Ranganatha, pleads him. Oh Lord Ranganatha, what is your thought? What are you going to do? Are you really going to Ayodhya? He says, yes, I am going to Ayodhya. But he says, in our Puranas we see that Brahma's day is very long and a human's day is very short. Time dilation. It has been, showed in our Puranas. So, Brahma says, Lord Ranganatha tells Brahma that you need not worry. By the time I go to Ayodhya and return back, it will be just an evening for you. So, that's when Lord Ranganatha from the Satyaloka comes to Ayodhya. So, the second place where Lord Ranganatha resides is Ayodhya. This has been mentioned in various Puranas. Okay? And now, from the time of Ikshvaku to the time of Lord Rama, Lord Ranganatha was present in Ayodhya. And during his presence, Ayodhya was very wealthy, very prosperous. And during the Putra Kameshti, Dasharatha performed a Putra Kameshti so that he could
get some progeny. Okay, while performing the Putrakameshti Ashwamedha Yatra, a king from Tamil Nadu, a Chola king named Dharmavarma, comes to Ayodhya. There he sees the wealth and prosperity. He thinks, why is this place so wealthy, so prosperous? And he comes to know that there is Lord Ranganatha present here. So this Dharmavarma goes to his kingdom on the banks of Kaveri and he starts a penance towards Lord Ranganatha to bring him here. So this happens before Lord Rama has even born. And in the lifetime of Lord Rama, he has worshipped Lord Ranganatha. The Shriramaya, the Valmiki Ramayana says, Sahapatnya Vishalakshya Narayana Nupavanat. Before the coronation process, Lord Rama, along with Sita, worships Narayana. According to Vaishnava tradition, that Narayana is none other than Lord Ranganatha himself. So Lord Ranganatha was present there till the period of Lord Rama. And while Lord Rama was ready to go to his abode, when he was ready to leave earth, that's when he calls upon Vibhishana. And he wants to present him something, because Vibhishana was instrumental in the victory of Lord Rama against Ravana, right? So he wanted to do something. So Lord Rama decided that he will give Lord Ranganatha to Vibhishana. Now Vibhishana carries Lord Ranganatha, this Sriranga Vimana, from Ayodhya to Lanka. While he is traveling, he comes across this place which is, in between both Kaveris. In this particular photo, you can see Kaveri flowing behind Sriranga. That is to the northern side. That is the northern Kaveri, and you also have southern Kaveri. So basically, Srirangam is an island town. It is an island which is, surrounded by the river Kaveri. You have northern Kaveri and the southern Kaveri. So here, there is a very beautiful pond which is named Chandra Pushkareni. Vibhishana looks at this place. He finds this place very beautiful. He thinks this is the best place for me to get down and do my noon rituals, afternoon rituals. So Vibhishana places Sriranga Vimana here. By that time, Dharmavarma reaches there. Dharmavarma comes there, many rishis come there, and they pray to Vibhishana to stay here for some more days. So see, Lord Ranganatha came from the Vindhya Ocean, then went to Satyaloka, then to Ayodhya, then to this place. Till Sriranga Vimana reached this place, this was called Anantapitha. This was named Anantapitha, not Srirangam. Only after Sriranga Vimana came here, it came to be known as Srirangam. So this is Srirangam for you. In this beautiful photo, you can see that this is located between Kaveri and Kolladam rivers. Kolladam is nothing but the northern Kaveri, and the southern Kaveri is called Kaveri. Okay, and there are 7 enclosures in this temple. 7 enclosures. See, Vibhishana kept it here, and he wanted to take away Lord Ranganatha to Lanka. But Lord Ranganatha had other ideas. He said, I want to stay put here. I like this place, and I have promised some other people that I will be here, and Lord Ranganatha stayed here. So this is the Puranic part. First part of my lecture is done. Okay, this is how Lord Ranganatha has come to today's Sri Lanka, because it was not Sri Lanka before he came. Okay, this is the first part, and then we now come to the second part. This Sri Lanka has a history of more than 2,500 years, at least 2,500 years. According to traditional view, the Sri Lanka Vimana, it has been here for lakhs of years. Okay, that is something else. But it is at least here for more than 2,500 years. How can we be sure about that? Because the oldest text in Sri Lanka, in Tamil literature, which is Sangam literature, there is this text called Tolkappiyam. Even Tolkappiyam mentions Sri Lanka. Tolkappiyam is dated around 2 to 5 BC. I mean, 2nd to 5th century BC. So, if Srirangam has been mentioned in Tolkappiyam, then it must be older than 2500 years. So, this is Srirangam, and from that time onwards, when Dharmavarma took care of Srirangam, from that time onwards till now, there have been many kings who have taken care of Srirangam, who have grown its infrastructure and have made sure that the traditions are kept, traditions are followed. So, the first group of kings who developed Srirangam are the Chola kings. The early Cholas, for example, Dharmavarma. See, we do not have any inscription or any other evidence for the existence of people like Dharmavarma, etc. It comes from the Puranas. So, starting from Dharmavarma, there have been many kings who have built this temple. Now, this temple is, structured around this Vimana. You can see the golden Vimana there. And this town or temple has been built around that. Usually there are two kinds of temples, or two kinds of temple cities. Some are built around a temple. So temple is the nucleus and the city is built around that. And then you have some cities, temple cities, where the city is built first and then a temple is placed. This is the first one. The temple came first and the city came afterwards. So the nucleus is the Sriranga Vimana. Okay? That Sriranga Vimana, along with some prakaras. Prakara is a fortified wall. And some prakaras were built by Dharmavarma. And then many kings came, they started building this temple, and eventually it became such a huge temple. It is said that, debatably, arguably it is the largest functioning temple in Asia, I think. There is something like this. So it is such a big temple, it has 7 enclosures. So the kings who have contributed to Srirangam are the early Cholas. There are many Cholas in Dharmavarma, Nanda Chola, and in recent times, 1000 years ago, there was Kulotunga Chola and many other people who have contributed to Sriranga temple. And then there were Pandyas. There was one Sundara Pandya. There is Sundara Pandya who was such a great king that he conquered places of Karnataka, also some southern parts of Andhra Pradesh, and he had a very vast kingdom. Okay, that Sundara Pandya is said to have made the first 2 enclosures of Srirangam filled with gold. The walls were built with gold, so everything was gold. This was just before the invasion of Ulu Khan and other people. Alauddin Khilji sent some of his troops to Srirangam, and just before that, in the 13th century, in the later part of the 13th century, this work all happened, and then you had the invaders who took away a lot of wealth from Srirangam. So there were also Pandya kings who had done a lot of wealth, and then there are Hoysala kings. Hoysala kings who have done Ampi work in Srirangam, and you also have the Vijayanagara Empire. Because after all these invasions and all, it was Vijayanagara Empire who took the responsibility of restoring this temple and built it again. So Srirangam temple was not built in a day. It was built, rebuilt, and this process went on for thousands of years. Okay. Now I will try to explain the structure of this particular temple. Okay. So these are some visuals that could give an idea of how huge that temple is. So this is the whole city of Srirangam, and then this is the temple. The temple itself is very huge, humongous, and then these are some sculptures. This is from a mandapam called Shesharaya Mandapam. You can visit Srirangam, and if you see that, the horses there, the other animals such as leopards and all, they all have space there, and they are carved with such detail that if you go there, you will be mesmerized by its beauty. So you have lot of sculptures such as these, and then you have gopuras. This is a gopura, okay? You have 21 gopura in Sri Lanka. 21 gopuras. The whole city is filled with gopuras. Everywhere you see, you will find a gopura. You know, I have the fortune of residing inside this temple. So if we go upstairs, you know, we just look around, we can find 21 gopurams all around us at our house. Okay, so these are some structures, and then now now we are, you know, I have this video with me. This is an aerial view of Srirangam. This Srirangam temple consists of 7 prakaras. That is, it has 7 fortified walls around it, and there are 7 enclosures. Actually, in total there will be 8 enclosures. I explain. You have everything. Now, I play this video. Now that small part there, you know, which is highlighted, is the first enclosure. It is the first enclosure which is just around that Vimana which we could see before. You know, it is a very small place there. And there is one thing that I would like to mention about that. During the summer seasons, during the summer, what people do is, they pour water all around that Vimana, so that Lord Ranganatha doesn't face the heat. So it is, you know, there is this structure where you can pour water, and so that it cools the Sangam Santoram inside. So that is one feature of this first enclosure. And then you have the second enclosure, which is slightly bigger. Yeah. Now we have the second enclosure. In this second enclosure, there are various mandavas. And one thing that that is notable is that from here you can have good darshan of that Sriranga Vimana. Sriranga Vimana, you can have good darshan. And one thing that is notable is that there is a mandapam right in front of Lord Ranganatha. In that mandapam, there was a carpenter who had done a lot of good work. And that mandapam was named after that carpenter himself. His name was Paraman. And that mandapam came to be called as Paraman Mandapam. So even the workmen, they were felicitated. You know, they were recognized, identified and so that mandapam came to be known as Paraman Mandapam. So this is the second enclosure, and then you have the third enclosure. You can see the name here. The second enclosure is called Raja Mahendra enclosure because there was a king called Raja Mahendra Chola who built this enclosure, the mandapas and all there. The first one is Dharmavarma enclosure, second one is Raja Mahendra enclosure, and then you have the third enclosure which is called Kulashekara enclosure. Kulashekara Alvar, he was from Kerala. He was one of the Alvars. Tamil saints who have sung in Tamil. Many Vaishnava songs have been sung by Kulashekara Alvar. So that Kulashekara Alvar built this enclosure which is called Kulashekara enclosure. The notable things in this particular enclosure is that the kitchen, the main kitchen for Lord Ranganatha is in this particular enclosure. It is a very huge kitchen where food is prepared for Lord Ranganatha and his devotees. The very interesting part here is there are a couple of wells, well-like structures which were used to store ghee and milk. We have seen that milk is stored in containers, etc. There are wells there in Srinagar, of course not being used nowadays, but they were used before to store ghee because there was a lot of ghee that was needed in Srinagar to light lamps, to prepare food, and various other reasons. So there are two wells in this Nagara, and you also find the kitchen here. And the fourth enclosure, which is called Alinadan enclosure. This Alinadan enclosure is a very beautiful enclosure, which has many things in it. The first feature is that there are granaries here. The places where grains were stored. There are big granaries to the left side, and then you also have the important Chandra Pushkarani to the north. Chandra Pushkarani, we speak about drainage systems nowadays. In Srinagar, if there is rain for half an hour, in all the streets there is water logging today. After roads have been done, we have so much urban planning going on and on. But there is water logging just after half an hour of rain. But in the previous eras, there was never water logging in this temple premises because the drainage system was prepared, built in such a way that every drop of water reached Chandra Pushkarani. So this is the fourth enclosure that we are speaking about. Any drop of water that fell in the first three enclosures would reach Chandra Pushkarani. That is a pond there and fill up the groundwater. This system was very recently discovered when people were trying to dig up and restore some places. That's when they found those ancient drainages which all led to Chandra Pushkarani. So that was the drainage system then. So there is this Chandra Pushkarani. You have granaries in this enclosure, and also there is this place which we call Manalgadi in Tamil. Manalgadi is that place which is filled with sand. That is the eastern side of this enclosure. It is filled with sand. So, children of Sri Lanka, they have no other parks. For them, Manalgadi is a park. They come there, they play. Sometimes they enact some rituals in Sri Lanka. So, it was a recreational spot for children and also adults. Even now, when we feel bored or the children are bored, we take them to Manalgadi so that they can play there. It is filled with sand. That is also a feature of this particular enclosure. This enclosure has many things, but these are some main parts. And one thing is there is an Arogya Shala. Have you ever heard about Dhanvantari, the deity of medicine? He has a Sanidhi. He has a temple here, Dhanvantari Sanidhi, and it used to be a Arogya Shala. Arogya Shala basically is a hospital. Okay, to treat people, we had an Arogya Shala inside the temple premises. So you can now have darshan of Dhanvantari, but there is no hospital there now. It used to be there. Okay, so this is the fourth enclosure which has all these things.
I can't be explaining all these things in a 40-minute lecture actually. I'm just giving you a direction towards which you can travel and research more about these kind of temples and also Srirangam. This is the fourth enclosure. And then you have the fifth enclosure, which is a very huge enclosure, which is called Akalankan enclosure. This is the Akalankan enclosure. Now we have come to the fifth one. Here, there are some features. You will find Ranganayaki Kaya, Amaji's Samiti in this enclosure. And then you have to the northeastern side, there is a 1,000-pillared mandapam. There is a 1,000-pillared mandapam, a huge mandapam, which spans from the northeastern side till half of that enclosure. Okay, that is called Ayalankal mandapam, 1,000-pillared mandapam, which has 1,000 pillars in it. That is one feature of this. And you also have Ramanujacharya Sannadhi, the southeastern part. Ramanujacharya Sannadhi, I will be visiting Ramanujacharya's contributions later. And then you have Chakarakalpa, and to the left of that enclosure, there is this place which is filled with trees, plants, etc. So this place is used to grow flowers for service of Lord Ranganatha. There is no need of bringing flowers from somewhere else. There is everything here. So we have seen a kitchen here, we have seen granaries here, we have seen Arogya Shalas, and we also see that there was a recreational spot here, and then you also have gardens here, which are used for the service of Lord Ranganatha. So this is the fifth enclosure. Till this enclosure, it is completely temple premises. No one is allowed to reside here. And now we are coming to the sixth enclosure. Now you can see that there are. This is the sixth enclosure, and surrounding it are houses. You may see there are houses there lying down. According to many texts, it is said that before this temple became like this, people used to reside on the banks of Kaveri. On the banks of Kaveri, just on the banks of Kaveri, till somewhere around 13th century, 14th century. In the early 14th century, the Muslim invasions happened, and even Lord Ranganatha, the Utsava idol, is forced to leave Srirangam and travel. Our Lord Ranganatha has travelled from Srirangam, he went southwards to Madurai, and then to Kerala, Kozhikode and all. Today's Calicut. Lord Ranganatha's Utsavamurti went to Calicut, and then Kozhikode, and then he went to Tirukkanambi, there is a place, and then he reached Melkote, Karnataka. So Lord Ranganatha has a connection with Karnataka because Lord Ranganatha's Utsava idol came to Melkote, Karnataka, and then he went to Tirumala, then he was reached in Srirangam. So he was in Vanavasa kind of state for at least 50 years. So it is debatable, but he was outside for 50 years. So this is a connection between Srirangam and Karnataka also. So, during that period, people started settling inside the temple. That is in the sixth enclosure. This enclosure has the name Trivikraman enclosure or Tirvikraman enclosure, named after a Chola king who was named Vikrama Chola. So this is the enclosure where now people reside. Before, it was the residential place only for prominent acharyas. Only the main priest of the temple used to live here, but later on everyone started living in this place, and so this is the residential place. This is the sixth enclosure, and then we have the seventh enclosure, that is called Madamalige Tiruvili. Madamalige Tiruvili. This is the seventh enclosure. Maybe it is not very visible from here, but that is the seventh enclosure. It has houses on both sides. Houses on both sides. So this temple is not just a temple, it's a temple city because people are living there. Okay? And then the last one, I think we don't have that in this particular video, but there is another prakara which is there surrounding that. Okay, which is called Adayavalayunan Vidi. That is called this eighth enclosure. So Srirangam is surrounded by 8 walls, and these were built for thousands of years. These have been built, rebuilt, and taken care of by many kings, and even now work is going on. Because to maintain so many walls, so many structures, the work used to be going on 24/7, 365 days. So this is the structure of this Sri Lankan temple. So we have seen that water management has been done. In the times of crisis, people would come here and stay there. And since it has 45 walls, it was not easy to breach inside, breach those walls. So this was the features. These are some features of the Sri Lankan temple. Now, let's go to presentation. So these are the 7 prakaras of Sri Lanka. Dharmavarma, till Chutu is nothing but enclosure in common. Named after King Dharmavarma, Rajamahendra Tiruchutu named after King Rajamahendra, Kulashekaran Tiruchutu named after Kulashekaran, Adinadu Tiruchutu named after Tirumiyaka, Akalankan Tiruchutu named after King Akalankan, Trivikraman named after King Tiruvikrama or Vikrama, and then the outermost street that is called Chitradevi. It was built by many kings. So these are the names that are notable. But we can never be sure that only one king built that. Because there are kings who came and built it and rebuilt it again and again. So this is it. And then we come to Ramanujacharya. Speaking about Sri Lanka, we can never leave one person, and that is Ramanujacharya. Ramanujacharya was a saint, a philosopher, and also a great thinker of those times, who travelled the length and breadth of India, propagating his Sri Vaishnava Sampradaya Vishishta Advaita philosophy. He also renovated many temples around India. Ramanujacharya not only took care of Sri Lankan temple, but also built a temple in Karnataka. Not one temple, many temples. The famous Melkote of Karnataka was built by Ramanujacharya. That is, by the directions of Ramanujacharya, the king Vittaladeva, who was later named Visvesvaraya, built the Melkote temple. And there is this famous temple in Bengaluru, Chennakeshwara temple, yeah? That was also built under the instructions of Ramanujacharya by Visvesvaraya. So, Ramanujacharya was a great saint who lived in Sri Lanka, but traveled everywhere and propagated his Vaishnava Sampradaya, built many temples. Even in Karnataka, dozens of temples have been built by when I say by Ramanujacharya, it is under these instructions that kings or other people built the temples. So this was Ramanujacharya. He made a lot of reforms in Sri Lankan temple. Till now, his customs, the customs he developed, the rituals he developed, have been in practice in Sri Lanka, but till now they are in practice. So this is Ramanujacharya. It is said that when Ramanujacharya first visited Sri Lanka, Lord Ranganatha bestowed upon him the responsibility of taking care of this particular temple. We sing this daily in Sri Lanka. What it means is Ramanujacharya was the one who made sure that everything goes in the right way. So basically, it was not streamlined before Ramanujacharya, and Ramanujacharya came and he streamlined all the customs, rituals, etc. And that is one of the greatness of this great saint Ramanujacharya. What he did, first thing, institutionalized temple administration. Before Ramanujacharya, Sri Lanka had many groups of servicemen, but there was slight quarrel and all. By the time of Ramanujacharya, he felt that some decentralization must happen, and so he divided the servicemen into 10 groups. Pattu Pottu they say in Tamil. He divided them into 10 groups, and he gave them, allotted them particular services they must undertake. By doing so, he made sure that people felt responsibility and could also take decisions in the ground level. No.
Nowadays we have communication that has developed so much that in a second we can speak with someone who is, in USA or some other country. But then it was not so. Communication was very slow. So decentralization was very important in those days. So Ramanujacharya made sure that there are 10 groups of people who were responsible for particular services. That is one thing. And then he standardized worship procedures. That is, before Ramanujacharya, there was no standard of how to worship. Ramanujacharya came there, took inspiration from Panchalakam and other agamas such as Vaikana Samana, and he standardized worship all around Vaishnava temples like Srirangam, Tirumala, now Nelkote, Kanchipuram, and there are many temples, Shivaishnava temples, which have standard rituals and worship procedures formulated by Ramanujacharya. So he did that. Srirangam has the same. There is a festival always going on in Srirangam. Yeah, whenever you go there, there will be some festival going on. That is the grandeur, and that is the greatness of Srirangam temple. So in that itself, we saw that departmental organization. He departmentalized those services, integrated Tamil and Vedic traditions. Yeah. Even before Ramanujacharya, there were acharyas who integrated Tamil Bhashanam songs, but in the time of Ramanujacharya, he made sure that Tamil was given the same importance as Sanskrit. Shivaishnava tradition has this famous saying where we say that for us, Tamil and Sanskrit both are like two eyes. So the regional language was also given importance, and Sanskrit was also given importance by him. Strengthened festival management. So during festivals, there are, it is very particular. There are particular rules that had to be followed, and he did that. And efficient financial administration. There are many things that we can speak about financial administration, but one thing that I want to tell here is that in many temples you see that prasadam is distributed to people, right? But in Srirangam, since the temple was so huge, the maintenance of temple itself was a difficult task. Ramanujacharya formulated a procedure where some of the prasadam would be distributed and most of the prasadam would be sold, so that revenue is generated for the maintenance of this temple. So it was from the time of Ramanujacharya itself that there was this procedure of integrating some kind of business into temple management. So that is one thing that I remember here. Expanded social participation. During the period, the Shivaishnava literature itself is such that it is filled with examples where people from all castes, all kinds of people were integrated into temple worship. And Saint Ramanujacharya did this in a very huge level. He made sure that everyone had some participation in the temple, and that can be found even in temples like Nelkote, where all the people come there at some point of time and have some service to do. That is one thing. And then promoted education and scholarship. Temples used to work as education institutions. People used to come there to learn something. Nowadays, I feel that temples have completely transformed. Temples have become like museums. People go there, take darshan of Bhagavan, come out. That's all. But I think that every temple must be an education institution. If I go inside a temple, I must be learning something. It could be about history, it could be about the deity itself, it could be about something, but it must be an institution where something is taught. At the time of Ramanujacharya, he integrated many things into the temple. So people used to learn Vedas, the Divya Prabandhas, other Shastras and other works in the temple itself. And succession and leadership planning, Ramanujacharya also appointed some people who could take care of this temple after him. So that is one thing many leaders don't do, right? Great leaders not never, but sometimes they fail to appoint someone after them. But Ramanujacharya, for succession, he appointed many people. For taking forward this sampradayam, he is said to have appointed 74 people. And for running this particular temple, he had appointed many other people who are still, whose lineage is still live in Srirangam and do some duties there. That is one thing. And integrated urban and temple planning. During the time of Ramanujacharya, there was this king called Akalanka Natkadma. He's Akalanka. He was instrumental in building this temple. He was instrumental in building this temple and making it, making this temple integrated with all the other aspects of that. So integrated urban and temple planning was also done during the time of Ramanujacharya. So these are some things that we can know about Srirangam. So we had seen about the Puranic version of how Srirangam came to existence and how it came to the river Kaveri, the place which is now called Srirangam. And then we saw about the great kings who had done number of services and how this Srirangam, the small Vimana and Lord Ranganatha became such a huge temple. And then we also saw about the contributions of Ramanujacharya. And there are many other acharyas. Like after the Muslim invasions, it was a saint called Varavana Muni, Manavada Muni Handise. He is considered to be the reincarnation of Ramanujacharya. So he came and he re-established whatever Ramanujacharya established. So this has gone through many things. Srirangam temple has seen festivities. It has seen invasions, it has seen acharyas, it has seen kings, and it has seen everything. So this is Srirangam for you, and these are some things that we can note down. So we have seen about water management, food security, public welfare, knowledge and education, governance and documentation. Of course, there is one thing that I want to mention here, because I have been speaking a lot of things like Sundarman, this thing, that thing. Where do we get these things now? So there is this document called Koil Urdu, which is kind of like a record which has been maintained to write down the major occurrences in Srirangam temple. So that Koil Urdu gives us a lot of information, and scholars try to verify that through inscriptions and all. They have their own thing here. History is such that no one can be sure about that, right? We can never be sure about that, but we can have an idea of how history was. So there is this documentation of this temple, of course there are Puranas, and then you have this text called Koil, which has documented the various important milestones of this particular temple, and then urban mobility, green infrastructure, disaster resilience. Urban mobility, I have to make some points here. We had seen about these all PDs, right? Just a century ago or 150 years ago, it was such that you had, like I will show you, you had pathways only in the centers. Like, I just show you. This is a pathway. You can go like this. So it has pathways only on 4 directions. It was such a century ago. But after the advent of vehicles and all, that was not enough. Because it would become very cumbersome to come from a very small lane. So some prakaras were cut in their edges so that mobility is enhanced. So that was done very recently, 150 years ago, so that people could travel more easily. So in the Chitravithi, in the 7th prakara, that particular wall was cut in the edges so that mobility is taken care of. So these are some things that we can think about now. Green infrastructure, we had seen about various gardens inside, and there were coconut trees planted around this temple so that it doesn't obstruct the processions, etc. And also it yields some result. You can get coconuts and all. So they were planted and many more. Here there is one thing that I want to mention. In the 7th prakara, in the Chitravithi, there is a place called Goratha. It is said that during the time of Ramanujacharya, a Goshala was there. A Goshala was there where cows were protected, cows were taken care of. During the time of Ramanujacharya, he felt that that space was not enough for cows. Today we speak about animal cruelty, right? We speak about animals being kept in a very small space and all. Ramanujacharya 1000 years ago felt that this space was not enough for the number of cows there. So he transferred the Goshala to a faraway region from Srirangam, where the cows could roam freely. That is also mentioned in Srirangam and those places. Till now, that place is called Govalatham because there was a Goshala before. And there is one place where Ramanujacharya kept a Goshala and he also constructed a temple for Krishna. Because Krishna was Gopala, right? So he also constructed a temple for Krishna there. So they also took care of animals. Not only humans, they were also and disaster resilience during disasters. Mainly, Srirangam used to face floods, right? There is a story which goes like this. At some point of time, there was a huge flood and the whole Srirangam temple was covered with sand. And then a parrot told a king that Srirangam Vimanam is here somewhere. And then it is said that he found the Srirangam Vimanam and constructed this temple. So he is called Kili Cholan. Kili is parrot. His name is not known. He is just known as Parrot King Parrot Chola, the Kili Cholan. So these are some things that I remember. So there was a lot of floods in Srirangam, and whenever floods used to happen, people used to come inside the temple. Before 13th century, 14th century, before people started residing here, they used to reside on the banks of Kavi. And whenever floods hit, they used to come inside the temple, and this temple was used for disaster management also. So that is one thing that Srirangam temple has been known, and this has been documented in commentaries of our acharyas. They have told that people used to come inside and reside here. So this is Srirangam temple for you. So Srirangam is perhaps India's finest surviving example of an integrated urban ecosystem where governance, water management, food security, healthcare, education, public welfare, mobility, and spirituality were conceived as one interconnected system nearly 1,000 years ago. So this is something with which I would finish my presentation. I would Srirangam is such a place that every part of Srirangam has some story to tell. So it is not possible to concisely explain what Srirangam actually is, but I have tried my best here. And this is the first presentation of kind from me. So hope you are going out of here with some kind of knowledge about Srirangam, and hope I have instilled some curiosity in you to learn more about our temples and temple infrastructure. Saying so, I thank everyone who was involved in this program, and I hope that these kinds of programs are done more and more across India. And thank you everyone. Thank you for being patient enough listening to this. Thank you.
Time for some questions, please. From audience side, if anyone has questions, then please come forward. Anyone from the audience side who have any lots of questions? Thank you very much, Swamiji. Thank you very much, Swamiji, for that enlightening and inspiring lecture. On behalf of Bangalore Technological Institute, we express our sincere gratitude for sharing your knowledge. I invite our respected principal, sir, to present a memento to our speaker. always occupied a central place in Indian knowledge systems. Ancient India gifted the world remarkable contributions in arithmetic, geometry, algebra, astronomy, and computational thinking, which continue to influence modern science and technology. The topic of next session is Mathematics in IKS, Foundations of Scientific Thought by Dr. Nagashri Narayan Bhatt.
Dr. Nagashri Narayana Bhatt, Associate Professor, Department of Science and Humanities, Bangalore Technological Institute. Dr. Nagashri completed her doctorate in Mathematics from Karnataka University, Dharwad, and a gold medalist in MSc Mathematics. She is a certified trainer in Vedic mathematics and recipient of Young Mathematician Award from Karnataka University. She has consistently achieved excellent academic results and is passionate about promoting India's mathematical heritage through Vedic mathematics and Indian knowledge systems. She has delivered several lectures on mathematics in Indian knowledge systems, creating awareness among students and faculty about India's rich scientific traditions. We are delighted to have her as our resource person. So please join me in welcoming Dr. Nagashri Narayana Bhatt. A big round of applause for Dr. Nagashri Narayana Bhatt. May I request Professor G.G. Ma'am, HOD Civil Department, to welcome Ma'am with bouquet. Thank you, ma'am. Over to Dr. Nagashri Narayana Bhatt.
Good afternoon, everyone. Respected dignitaries, distinguished guests, faculty members, dear students, and all participants. ನಿಮಗೆಲ್ಲ ಅನ್ಸ್ಬೋದು ಆನೆ ಹೋದ್ಮೇಲೆ ಇರುವೆ ಬರ್ತಿದೆ ಅಂತ. Don't get me wrong, I'm talking in terms of knowledge. It's my privilege and pleasure to speak on the topic Mathematics in IKS, Foundations of Scientific Thought. So when we hear the word mathematics, most of us immediately think of equations, formulas, numbers, calculations. And some of our students may think of sleepless nights before exams. Am I right, students? Yeah. However, mathematics is much more than solving problems on paper. It is the language through which humanity understands the nature. In Bharatiya Parampare, mathematics was a way of thinking, a language of nature, and a path towards truth. Our ancestors called mathematics as Ganita. The word Gana comes from Sanskrit word. Gana means to calculate or to know or to count. Bhaskaracharya begins his Siddhanta Shiromani by praising mathematics. Yatha shika mayoranam naganam manayo yatha tatvad vedanga shastranam ganitam mudhanisitam. This shloka beautifully emphasizes the beauty of or importance of mathematics. Just as the peacock is recognized by its magnificent crest and a serpent by the precious jewel, so mathematics crowns all branches of knowledge. It is the foundation that supports the study of every field. engineering, whether it is AIML, CSC, data science, civil engineering, mechanical engineering, or space technology, depends on mathematics. Without mathematics, there would be no computers, no internet, no GPS, no satellite communication, and of course, no modern day engineering. This is the outline of my presentation. Always, I had a question that where and how all these mathematical ideas originated. Most textbooks begin with Greek, then directly jumps into European mathematics. Somewhere we forget or neglect, I can say, India's mathematical heritage, which significantly influenced the development of mathematics across the world. Today's lecture is not intended to claim that everything is originated in India, but it aims to appreciate the authentic, well-documented contributions of our ancestors. Their work was driven by observation, logical reasoning, practical necessity, and an extraordinary spirit of inquiry. By the end of this session, I hope you will view mathematics not only a collection of formulas or numbers, but as a living tradition that has evolved through centuries of scientific thinking. Now let us reflect on the title of my presentation. Why do we call mathematics the foundation of scientific thought? Science begins with observation. Mathematics enables to quantify those observations. Without measurements, there is no science. Without numbers, there are no measurements. Without equation, there are no scientific laws. And our ancient Indian mathematicians realized this relationship. They believed that nature follows patterns, and these patterns could be understood as numbers, geometry, ratio, symmetry, and logical reasoning. And this is precisely scientific method that modern science follows today. Thus, mathematics is the bridge between observation and scientific understanding. Now, number system in IKS. Before that, let us consider Roman number system. And in that, how do we represent number 4? By using I and B. And 5 by using B. Do we have any rules to add those two numbers, or subtraction, or for multiplication? We don't have any such rules for arithmetic operations in Roman number system. So it is not suitable for scientific purposes, which often pose complex arithmetic operations. But think of our decimal place value system. Addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, all arithmetic operations are very easy. The efficiency of modern mathematics arises from the decimal place value system that developed in India. This innovation transformed human civilization. Now, concept of zero. Now, high school ನಮ್ಮ ಟೀಚರ್ ಕೇಳ್ತಾ ಇದ್ರು ಭಾರತೀಯರ ಕೊಡುಗೆ ಏನು ವಿಜ್ಞಾನಕ್ಕೆ? A big zero. Is that so? Only a big zero? No. Among all mathematical discoveries, perhaps none is more revolutionary than zero. The Sanskrit word for zero is shunya, which means nothing or void. Our ancestors transformed this philosophical idea into mathematical concept. India uniquely treated zero as a placeholder as well as an independent number. This concept completely changed the mathematical world. In 628 CE, Brahmagupta, in his work Brahmasputa Siddhanta, provided arithmetic rules involving zero. He described how numbers behave when added to or subtracted from zero. Today, computer stores information using binary digits, zeros and ones. Now, decimal place value system. important contribution is the decimal place value system. Consider 345. Here, the digit 3 does not simply mean 3. The value depends on its position. So, 3 hundreds, 4 tens, 5 units. Now let us reverse the digits. It will become 543 and it's not equal to the previous number. This simple positional idea makes arithmetic efficient, scalable, systematic. Every calculator, spreadsheet, programming language, engineering computation depends on this place value principle. Without this, modern science would struggle even with the basic arithmetic calculations. The beauty of mathematics often lies not on the complexity but on the simplicity, and a perfect example for the same is this decimal place value system. Now let us see the Indian decimal place value system. The decimal system or the base 10 system did not emerge overnight. It evolved gradually over centuries through observation, practical use, and scholarly refinement. Ancient Indian scholars recognized that using the 10 digits from 0 to 9 along with the place value concept, it allowed the representation of numbers of any length or any size. This simplicity made mathematics accessible to common man like merchants, astronomers, engineers, and administrators. Eventually, through trade and scholarly exchanges, the Hindu numeral system reached the Arab world and later Europe. That's why it's named as Hindu-Arabic numerals today. Now let us meet one of India's greatest scientist minds, Aryabhatta. He was born in 476 CE and he wrote his famous work, the Aryabhatiya, in 499 CE when he was just 23 years old. So imagine the brilliance required to produce such a work which influenced the whole mathematical world and astronomy even till today. He used decimal place value system extensively in astronomical calculations. And one fascinating aspect of his work is his use of Sanskrit letters to represent numbers. Instead of writing long strings of numbers or digits, he encoded numerical values into verses or shlokas. This made mathematical and astronomical information easier to memorize and preserving knowledge in an oral form. Aryabhatta also proposed Earth rotates on its own axis, and at that time geocentric models were very famous. Although Aryabhatta explained that the apparent movement of stars is due to the Earth's rotation. This shows that Indian mathematicians were not only calculators, they were scientists who observed nature carefully and gave rational explanations. Next, Bhaskaracharya, born in 1114 CE, he authored the monumental work Siddhanta Shiromani, which divided into 4 parts, as you can see here. Leelavati, which deals with arithmetic, Bijaganika, which deals with algebra, Grahaganika, which deals with planetary motion, Godatraya, which deals with the study of spheres or planets. Leelavati presents arithmetic in a remarkably engaging style. Instead of using dry formulas and numbers, he have quoted questions about merchants, flowers, birds, bees, travelers, etc. One such problem from Leelavati I can quote here. A merchant has 108 pearls. He gives 1/3 of them to his eldest son, 1/4 to his second son, 1/6 to his youngest son. So how many pearls remain with the merchant? Such type of Lilavati. And here we can see the powers of 10 up to 10 to the 17, which he used in his book Lilavati. So, the revolutionary contributions from India to the world of mathematics are 0 and a decimal place value system. Now, one of the most fascinating features of Indian mathematics is its innovative method of representing numbers. There are two famous methods. One is Bhuta Sankhya system, another one is Kattapayadi system. Bhuta Sankhya system, here Bhuta means objects, Sankhya means numbers. Here naturally occurring objects were used to represent numbers. For example, if I say Chandra, the number is 1. If I say Veda, the number is 4. If I say Graha, then the number is 9. Now if I say Veda Vedanka Chandraha, then what is the number? Veda means 4, again Veda means 4, Anka means 9, Chandra means 1. And we have to read it as units, tens, hundreds and so on. So the number is 1944. Like this, we can see many examples in our scripts. In Kattapayadi system, this is table for Bhuta Sankhya system. You can see numbers and their objects. In the Kattapayadi system, Sanskrit letters were used to represent numbers. Ka, ta, pa, ya. These represent 1 and the next letters start 2 to 0. And obviously there are few rules to allot the numbers to the letters. And all vowels are numbered as 0. Now if I say Bhavati, then what is the number? Bha. Mahaprana. The number is 4. Va means 4. Ta means T. We have to consider the only there. Is 6. Again we have to read it as units, tens and hundreds, so on. And here the number is 644. In 18th century, this Kattapayadi system is used to organize all 72 Medakarta ragas. Or Medakarta ragas are also known as Sampurna ragas. First two syllables of the ragas or its names were used to number the raga. For example, Raga Hari Kamboji. Here first two letters we have to check. Ha, Ri. Ha means 8. Re means we have to consider Ra, so it's 2, unit 10, so it's 28th Medakarta raga. You can check it. In the same way, we have names for all 72 ragas, Medakarta ragas. The first Medakarta raga is Kanakangi. Ka means 1, Na means 0. So 1 represents unit place here, 0, 1. So first Medakarta raga is Kanakangi. Then second Medakarta raga is Ratnangi. Ra. As you can see from the table, it's 2. Ratna. Na means we have to consider Na because we have few rules to allot the numbers. Na means 0. Reverse it. So the second Medakarta raga is Ratnangi. Like this, we have all 72 Medakarta ragas. And can we recall the value of pi? It's 3.142, only up to this. Or 3.141596. It's very difficult to remember such dry numbers, right? But for pi also, we have a shloka in Kattapayadi system. That is, Gopi Bhagya Madhuvrata Shangido Dadi Sandhikaha. If we decode it, we will get the value of pi. Let me tell you, Go means curve we have to consider. It's 3 unit place, because after that we will get the decimal point. For that also we have a rule in this shloka. Then the P means per we have to consider, it's 1. Bha, Mahaprana, so it's 4. Gya means we have to consider ya, it's 1. Ma means 5. Du means Mahaprana, dha we have to consider, it's 9. Ra means we have to consider ra, it's 2. Ta means 6, and so on. Exact numbers we will get by using this shloka. Instead of remembering such numbers, we can say pi value is Gopi Bhagya Madhurata. How beautifully it is given in aspects. Gopi Bhagya Madhurata. Gopi Bhagya Madhurata. And what is the model connection and this Bhuta Sankhya system and Katapayade system? If we think about it, these systems resemble modern concepts such as encoding, encryption, and data compression. Today, we store information using binary codes and digital encoding schemes. Ancient Indian scholars stored numerical data in poetic language. The underlying principle is the same, representing data efficiently. Pingala and the binary system. Now we come to a topic that our engineering students particularly enjoy. Pingala was a Sanskrit scholar who lived around the 3rd to 2nd century BCE. His objective was to classify poetic meters. To do this, he represented syllables as Lagu and Guru. Lagu means short syllables, Guru means long syllables. Of course, we have a few rules to identify Lagu and Guru. This creates a two-state system. Modern computer science also uses a two-state system, 0 and 1. Although Pingala did not use the digits 0 and 1, his method relied on only 2 possible states, using it one of the earliest known examples of binary thinking. Pingala also introduced 6 pratyayas to manage the combinations of Lagu and Guru. We can see here, these are similar to modern concepts such as binary enumeration, indexing, combinatorics, and algorithm design. His contribution beautifully illustrates how the study of poetry inspired mathematical thinking that resonates with the foundation of modern computing. So this binary thinking emerged from the scientific study of language. In the 10th century, scholars such as Halayuga visualized Pingala's combinatorial ideas using Meru Praskara, and this is exactly what is known today as Pascal's triangle. Triangle is known as Pascal triangle today, but the idea was given by Halayuga in the 3rd to 2nd century BC, before Common Era itself. And where do we use this Pascal's triangle? In probability, statistics, binomial expansions, artificial intelligence, machine learning, coding theory, and in computer graphics. So again, ancient mathematical ideas contribute to influence modern technology. This is about Pingala and his work on poetry. He gave binary thinking idea and Meru Praskara, which is equivalent to Pascal's triangle. In the next part of this session, we will move from numbers to geometry, algebra, trigonometry, infinite series, the Kerala School of Mathematics, and the foundations of calculus. Ancient mathematicians or mathematics was never only about calculations. It was about logical methods to understand nature, predict events, construct structures, and to solve practical problems. They treated mathematics not only as a collection of formulas or theorems, but as a way of thinking. This is a brief Indian mathematical history. In this slide, let us consider Shilpa Sutras. One of the earliest geometers of the world was Bodhayana, the author of Bodhayana Shilpa Sutra. His work focused on geometric constructions required for building Vedic altars, or what we call Yajna Vedis. While solving these constructional practical problems, he developed sophisticated geometric principles. One of his famous statements is mathematically equivalent to what is now called the Pythagorean theorem. Scientific discoveries often emerge from practical needs rather than abstract curiosity in India. In this slide, let us consider Aryabhatta. Besides the decimal system, he introduced trigonometric tables, algorithms to find squares and square root of numbers, astronomical calculations, and approximation to pi. Most importantly, he combined mathematics with observation. Let us move on to the next slide. Here let us see Brahmagupta. He made several revolutionary contributions. He established arithmetic rules involving zero. He explained operations involving negative numbers. He solved quadratic equations, developed methods for indeterminate equations. So imagine developing algebra over 1300 years ago in India. Without algebra, there would be no engineering mathematics, no control system, and no optimization techniques. Bhaskaracharya or Bhaskara II. Before Newton and Leibniz, there was a great Indian mathematician Bhaskara whose work contains ideas similar to differential calculus. He discussed instantaneous motion, he analyzed changing quantities, he investigated maxima and minima. These are the central concepts in calculus today. In this slide, let us consider Madhava of Sangamagrama. Let us appreciate one of the greatest yet least known mathematician in the world history, Madhava, the founder of Kerala Mathematics School. He lived around 14th century. He developed infinite series expansion for sine, cosine, arctangent, and y. These are now fundamental topics in engineering mathematics. Whenever engineers approximate a complicated function, they use infinite series. Madhava initiated these ideas centuries before they appeared in Europe. And these are some of the mathematical discoveries by our ancestors. Squares and square roots. One of the earliest computational achievements in Indian mathematics was the systematic method to find squares and square roots. Aryabhatta developed algorithm to find squares and square roots of perfect squares. In Bakshali manuscripts, we have algorithms to find square roots of any numbers. It gives the values with negligible error. So, how could scholars over 2000 years ago achieve such remarkable accuracy without calculator? And the answer is careful observation, logical reasoning, repeated refinement, and mathematical creativity. And where do we use this square roots in civil engineering, in electrical engineering, in statistics, signal processing, machine learning, distance calculations, so obviously robotics, computer graphics. Even GPS uses distance formulas involving square roots. Thus, algorithms developed in ancient India remains relevant today. Now we have mathematical series. These formulas are very familiar. The formula to find the sum of squares of first and natural numbers, it's known as Varga Chiti Ghanaha. Similarly, formula to find the sum of cubes of first and natural numbers is known as Ghana Chiti Ghanaha. And we should feel proud that these formulas were given by our ancestors. And why they studied such series and progression concepts? Because they used these concepts in astronomy and in commerce. Now geometry, it occupies a very special place in Indian mathematics. The word Shulbha means rope. The Shulbha Sutras describe how ropes were used to construct geometrically accurate fire hydras. This may appear religious at first glance, however, from mathematical point of view, these Shulbha Sutras are the civil engineering manuals. They explain constructing squares, transforming rectangles into squares, and how to measure diagonals and constructing of circles, maintaining precise proportions, etc. One famous statement from the Bodhayana Shulbha Sutra is equivalent to a square plus b square equal to c square. Unfortunately, today we call it as the Pythagorean theorem, but it was known as Bhujakoti Karna Nyayam. Whenever engineers design buildings, whenever architects prepare layouts, whenever robotic system compute distances, whenever GPS calculates shortest path, geometry is at work. The principle remains exactly the same, only the technology has changed. And one more fascinating constant is pi. Several civilizations approximated the value of pi, but Indian mathematicians developed remarkably accurate values, as we can see in this slide. Algebra, the Sanskrit word is Bija. Bija means seed, Ganita means mathematics. So just as a tiny seed grows into a tree, an unknown quantity grows into a mathematical solution. What a beautiful metaphor which explains why algebra was named as Bijaganita. Indian Bijaganita or algebra included linear equations, quadratic equations, indeterminate equations, Varga Prakriti, or today we call it as Pell's equation, and methods to solve all these equations, negative numbers, zero, and polynomial methods. Whenever engineers solve simultaneous equations, optimization problems, electrical networks, control system, finite element methods, machine learning methods, they are applying algebra. Let us conclude our mathematical journey with one of the most beautiful creations in mathematics, that is the magic squares. A magic square is an arrangement of numbers in rows and columns in which the sum of numbers in each row, each column, and on both the diagonals is exactly the same. And the sum is called magic constant, and we have a formula to find that magic constant also. And the study of magic squares is known as Bhadraganita. Yeah.
There are mainly two types of magic squares. The first one is simple magic square. Second one is pan-diagonal magic square. You can check any row, any column or any diagonal. The sum is same, which is 34 here. And why it is 34 only? Because of the formula. N into n square plus 1 divided by 2. And here n is 4. Number of rows or number of columns. Since it is a square, both are equal. So 4 into 4 square plus 1 divided by 2. It is 34. Hence the sum along any row, any column or any diagonal is 34. It's a simple magic square. But the speciality of pan-diagonal magic square, the sum is same along any row, any column, any diagonal and along any broken diagonal. So what is broken diagonal? I can show here. You consider three and this one contribute one broken diagonal. These three and this one contribute another broken diagonal. So the sum along any broken diagonal is also same. And it looks little complicated, but believe me, we have formula to find this pan-diagonal magic squares also. In our IKS classes, we have solved this pan-diagonal magic squares. Few students are here. Hope they remember this square. Yeah. Mathematics is not only about obtaining answers, it is about discovering patterns. So, whenever we encounter a pattern, we have to ask three questions. Why does this happen? Can we prove it? Can we generalize it? So, this curiosity is the beginning of scientific thinking. And the uses of these magic squares, they appeared in the temple architecture, yantras, astronomical symbolism, artistic design, and recreational mathematics. But however, today magic squares have evolved into entirely new areas such as combinatorics, matrix theory, coding theory, optimization, experimental design, cryptography, and computer algorithms. I am not insisting you to remember all the numbers, but remember the mathematical mindset here. So far we have traveled through nearly 3,000 years of mathematical history. Now let us ask an important question. Why should engineering students or any other students learn all this? Is this only a history or is there something deeper? Let us consider artificial intelligence. Because many mathematics faculties are here, one common question we will get from students, why we have to study mathematics? And why we have to study all those olden era mathematics? So here is the answer. Artificial intelligence depends on linear algebra, calculus, probability, optimization, algorithms, matrices, and statistics. Every one of these disciplines has roots in India. When computer processes information, everything in it eventually becomes 0 and 1. So binary representation, logical combination, algorithms, enumeration. Pingala's combinatorial thinking reminds us that the foundation of binary reasoning existed long before electronic computers. Data science depends on statistics, linear algebra, probability, optimization, which are the continued parts of logical reasoning developed by our ancestors. When civil engineers design bridges or buildings, they use trigonometry, geometry, symmetry, measurement, and optimization. And we can proudly say that our Shulva Sutras are the engineering manuals for civil engineers. Now, mechanical engineers, they solve differential equations, optimization problems, numerical methods, matrix computations. Bhaskara and other Indian mathematicians contributed significantly to algorithmic thinking that eventually became a part of computational mathematics. In electronics engineering, we have signal processing, series, Fourier analysis, communication system, digital electronics, all depends on mathematical reasoning. So, my open statement is, without mathematics, there is no engineering. Ancient Indian mathematicians did not accept the ideas blindly. They observed, they measured, they compared, they verified, rectified, refined. So these are the exact steps in the modern scientific research. That's why the title is Foundations of Scientific Thought. And I have not covered Vedic mathematics here, and I have not touched the contribution of Jains and Buddhists in the Indian knowledge system. I can say I have covered only 0.0001% of mathematics in IKS. And there are a lot of unopened books, and we hesitate to open those books because they are in Sanskrit. We relate this language with the religion. So we have to study our history, our languages, so that we will get a lot of knowledges. And these are my references. Thank you everyone for your patience with me. Any questions? Yes, sir, please.
Good afternoon, everyone. Myself, Visvesvaraya from Belagavi. I have a few questions on this session, madam. Basically, I want to tell that the session was very informative, and since I am from mathematics faculty, I am a mathematics faculty. It was very interesting for me now. And the very first question is, you were mentioning that we have several books right now available, right?
Yes.
On the Vedic mathematics or all these.
Yes.
How and where do we get all those books?
Especially these two books are available online, sir. Yeah, we have these books in our library contributed by our senior professor, Dr. Swami, and we are learning something about IKS. I should thank him because of him only. Even I was a child to this area because we will be busy with our engineering mathematics, completing the syllabus, conducting internal tests, and we will scratch our head with the students only. We will not touch this part itself. And
do you have the copy of Belagavi?
in our library we don't have, sir. No.
My second question is, as we know, we have learned in our high schools or preschools that the trigonometry was earlier meant as trigonometry. What about the names of all the 6 ratios that we had earlier? What was the name of sine before it was named as sine? Sine ratio. Do we have the namings for that?
Yes, sir, we have the names, but I am not able to recall all those, but we have the names.
Data references. Somewhere I had heard that some YouTube video is there on that, but I could not find a particular book reference for that, so I thought you might be knowing about it.
We have conversion from sine to cosine according to the quadrants. For all those, we have our scripts.
No, I heard that there were Sanskrit names for
Yes,
the
sir,
ratio.
yes.
Sine was called something else. Like that we have.
Yes, we have, sir. But at this moment, I am not able to recall all of
That's
this.
fine. That's fine. I was not knowing, so I thought you might be knowing, so I asked you. And one last question.
I'm sorry, sir. Science only I know. Arthurgia.
Arthur, thank you.
1500 centuries back is also arranged in Sanskrit. Arthurgia. Science.
Arthur, okay. Thank you. And one last question. You were mentioning about Bhadraganita, about magic squares. Do we have any particular formula to generate the squares?
Yes, sir. Yeah, we have.
How do we get that?
That is beautifully mentioned in the first book I have given here. It's beautifully mentioned in the book.
Okay. Thank you.
And there is a shloka and we have to decode that shloka by using Katapayadi system. Yes. We have to decode the shloka, then we will get few numbers in the few boxes. Accordingly, we have to fill the numbers. Or starting from 1 to 16 means we have particular rule. And no need to start with 1 and end with 16. We can have any numbers in the box according to that shloka.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Thank you, Nagashri ma'am, for that wonderful presentation, for showcasing the contribution of ancient Indian civilization to the world of mathematics. Now I invite our principal sir to present token of appreciation to Nagashri ma'am.
My special thanks to our principal sir and it's not for this letter. ಆತರ ಸಪೋರ್ಟಿಂಗ್ ಪ್ರಿನ್ಸಿಪಲ್ ಸರ್ ಇರೋದು ನಮಗೆ ಹೆಮ್ಮೆ ಅಂತ ನನಗೆ ಅನ್ಸುತ್ತೆ. ಯಾಕಂದ್ರೆ ನಾವು ಇಂಜಿನಿಯರಿಂಗ್ ಕಾಲೇಜಲ್ಲಿ ಬೇಸಿಕ್ ಸೈನ್ಸ್ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಎಲ್ಲ ಒಂದು ಮೂಲೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. ನಮ್ಮಂತವ್ರನ್ನ ರೆಕಗ್ನೈಸ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ತನಕ ಕರ್ಕೊಂಡ್ ಬರ್ತಿದ್ದಾರೆ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಅದು ನಮ್ಮ ಪ್ರಿನ್ಸಿಪಲ್ ಸರ್ ಇಂದ ಮಾತ್ರ ಸಾಧ್ಯ. ಥ್ಯಾಂಕ್ ಯು ಸೋ ಮಚ್. Thank you, sir. Thank you, ma'am. Now, we have a lunch break. During this break, we invite all the participants to visit IKS exhibition outside. Those who have received coupon, that is, those who have registered for the IKS, and BTI staff, lunch is arranged near the library from 1:15 p.m. So, we request everyone to kindly be back to the seminar hall by 2 p.m. afternoon for the next technical session. Thank you, madam.